Brazil's starting 11 by life path numbers. And guys, this has surprised even me. Now, generally speaking, João Pedro an 11 life path, Brazil an 11 team. They're leaving João Pedro out of it. That is incredible. However, right, Ancelotti, a 22 life path. So we know he's one of those builders. And to some degree, right, he's also got 10 energy. So ultimately, what he chose this time, I think, is a little bit, let's say, of very un-Brazilian. Not everything, right? Because Brazil tend to stick a lot with their 11 life paths. So in this case, we got 4 11 life paths. However, they're all either goalkeeper or defenders, right? Those are the unselfish type of players. And he went for actually the wingers. Wesley, Bremer, Alexandro. Bremer is a defender, actually. But Alexandro and Wesley, 2 wingers, 11 life paths, because they still want to keep that agility. Now, as for the defenders, like, except for maybe Danilo, and he's not a defender. These are not typical defender numbers. But you gotta know, guys, Brazil don't typically go for typical defender numbers, right? So the life path number, for those of you who have sticked on till now, is their birth date added up to a single digit, right? And that tells a lot about the player's type of personality and how he's gonna play, at least. That's what I specialize in. And as you can see, 3 life paths are some of the most pure talented players with their feet. So what this means, and Brazil have generally always had this to some degree, is playing the ball out the back, being able to play like long passes forward. Typical squads that have the best defense in general tend to have a lot of 8s up here, tend to have a lot of 4s in there, tend to have some 10s if they want like leading type of defenders. However, none of them here, which is really interesting. And Brazil have never been a defensive team, so this doesn't surprise me at all. Now, as we keep going, and this one, maybe the midfielders, is also very interesting, right? So here, they got the powerhouses. Here, they got the stable players, which is completely right, but it's un-Brazilian. It's un-Brazilian because Brazil tended to have more like of the 11 of the 3s, the 11s, the 5s in there. This year they have 1 5 and he's never gonna play, never gonna see the pitch, right? The goalkeeper. So generally speaking, weird enough, they went for stability here. I mean, probably that's because that's what Brazil currently has to offer. So Ancelotti went for 10 life paths, so leader. Stable technical tactical player, and 1 intelligent creative player, 7s, which unfortunately in world football we are not seeing as much. But they are the Andres Iniestas. They are the intelligent players. They are the Cesc Fabregas. They're the ones that play those passes. They're the ones that have the technical and tactical intelligence. But they're not really that physical, right? So Paqueta will be playing, and probably those slick passes, those passes that no one else sees. That's what a 7 is supposed to be doing. And if he does that, he'll be successful. Now, 10's leadership energy here. Strong midfield. They're going with powerhouses midfield. They want to overpower people in midfield. And modern football, the way modern football is going, that can happen. However, I don't see a single 4 life path here, which is a little bit concerning since, well, first of all, Ancelotti's a 4 life path. 22 specifically. So they're not really going for that type of disciplined dominance, right? So overall, I see a lack of discipline, but that has generally been like Brazil rarely had any 4 life path players from the get-go anyways. They're not popular in Brazil. It's just the way it is. Now for the good part, the strikers. And this is insanely surprising with me because here we have a dominance of the numbers. Dominance of the number 6 in this case is very interesting because 6s are to one degree very stable players, which is why they integrated 10s and 6s. That is one axis. It's very important axis. It's the stability type of player, but very refined type of stable player. And of course, it always, especially with the 6 players, it depends what type of 6 it is. Cunha, for example, is a 33. And then we got others that might be 15, so more talented-wise. And then we got some 24s, which are very stable. But generally speaking, sixes here, it doesn't surprise me because Brazil always had some sixes in the past. But it's a little bit weird because sixes tend to lack a certain type of personality when it comes to being the shining star, which is what Brazil tended to have. Neymar is the only one born on the 5th. So that's 5 energy in general. But he's not, he's not a 5 life path. Unlike what really had success in Brazil. Pelé, 5 life path. 11 life path with 5 energy. And Ronaldo, R9, was a 5. So keep that in mind, right? So they don't have those shining type of stars. Neymar's back. He has some 5 energy. Yet we all know him. And he's a 10 life path, so he'll have to step into that leadership role. Right? And the other is the only guy that is very Brazilian in this case is Vini Jr., 3. Right? 3, he's a double 3 actually. So very undisciplined, but very talented. Right? So it's all about this childlike energy, and he might actually be doing well in this because ultimately, the only two that are really as in that creative type of players, Vini, Neymar. The others are stable. And I don't want to talk about the 9 life paths. The 9 life paths, I'm not a big fan of 9 life path footballers in general because to me they're just super subs. They rarely would start a game. Alvaro Morata is one of the prime 9 examples. So Martinelli and Drake, they're probably not starting, so they will super sub. Right? And that's what they work best with, actually, to change the course of a game. Anyways, I hope you found this one interesting. Ultimately, I think this Brazil team is pretty solid. I can't lie. I expected something maybe a little bit different. Half of these players I did not know before. So most of them come from Flamengo, for example. Very interesting. And ultimately speaking, I think Brazil will do well in this World Cup. There are some stars that are favoring them ultimately. It's like the numbers are favoring them, stars are favoring them. It's pretty good for Brazil, right? So I would not, Brazil are underrated in this World Cup, and Ancelotti is an not underrated coach, but a team coached by Ancelotti in a tournament. How are they not the favorites? So, just so you guys know, that's my verdict for now.